Sometimes you wake up and you're already tired. The night was quiet, you slept normally, but inside it still feels as if the day is already over. Familiar? As if you just opened your eyes and already want silence and for no one to bother you. I long thought that it was just age, but then I realized it's not about the years, it's about the morning, about how you started. The first actions, thoughts, gestures, they either give you strength or quietly take it away. Daily. Unnoticeably. I began to look closely and saw there are habits that seem to steal energy drop by drop. You don't notice them, but it is they who make the morning heavy, and the day alien. Today I will tell you about 7 such habits, not because I know everything, but because I myself once realized, if you don't reconsider the morning, the day passes you by. Maybe you will also recognize yourself, and say, as I once did, so that's where this fatigue comes from. I long didn't understand why every morning for me starts with the feeling that I'm already a step behind. As if the whole world is already in motion, and I'm only opening my eyes and already late. And that's even if I got up early, even if nothing urgent is planned, still inside, as if the race started without me. And then I started tracing one thing. What do I do first? And I understood. My hand itself reaches for the phone. I open my eyes, and before I even manage to understand where I am, I'm already looking at what came. Weather, news, messages, who posted what, who said what. And there's nothing new in that. Everyone does that. But here's what I noticed. I didn't become calmer. I didn't become clearer. On the contrary, as if the morning no longer belonged to me. Because before I managed to feel myself, I had already begun to absorb the whole world. I read a headline about something alarming, and that's it. The alarm is inside me. I saw someone's photo with an ideal breakfast, and I already felt that I'm somehow not living right. Someone wrote about illnesses, someone about their successes, someone simply complained, and all this immediately into me, without a filter. While the body hasn't woken up yet, while the mind hasn't woken up yet, everything alien is already inside. One day I decided to conduct an experiment. I left the phone in another room, not because I'm holy, but because I was simply tired. I said to myself, try to live at least half an hour without this. And at first, it was strange, even a little empty. I sat with a cup of tea and didn't know what to do, but then something came that hadn't been there for a long time. Silence. I began to hear how the floor creaks, how water drips on the sink, how my heart beats. I didn't start with the news, but with myself. And then the day went differently. I didn't feel like I was being dragged somewhere. I went myself. It's a trifle, but it changes a lot. Especially at our age when inner peace is not just a pleasant state, but a question of survival. Since then, I try not to touch the screen right away. First, water. Then, a little movement. Then, just to be. And only then, when there is support inside, can you look at what's out there. You don't have to be a monk. You don't have to meditate. Just start the day with yourself. And not with other people's anxieties. And if you have this feeling that you wake up and are already tired, already overloaded, although the day has only begun, look at what you were starting with. It may not be age. It may just be an extra screen at the most wrong moment. The next thing that I long considered sacred is coffee, black, hot. As soon as I open my eyes, almost like breathing, without it, not a step. And you know, it wasn't just a drink, it was a ritual, almost a ceremony. I even always kept one mug, old, with a chipped edge, but with a perfect handle. Without it, like without a shoe. It seems you can, but it's uncomfortable to live. And everything would be fine, if, after this cup, my life began in the morning. But something else began. First, it seemed cheerful. Oh, the energy came. And then, a strange tension in the body. The heart as if slightly lagging behind the rhythm. Hands tremble, thoughts jump. And after an hour and a half or two, a crash. Mood down, head cottony, in the body, irritation. As if the body said, thank you for the gasoline, now hold the headache and inner panic in addition. And I still continued. Because how can you do without coffee? Because habit is stronger than logic. Because it seemed that the problem is in anything, just not in this. Age, pressure, the sun didn't rise on the right side, everything was suitable, but not coffee. Because coffee is the morning, right? Until one day my old friend John called me. We are the same year. He is now also under 70, a former engineer. And he tells me, listen, I think I understood why I feel after breakfast as if I had been hauling pins all night. I stopped drinking coffee immediately after waking up, and it was as if someone turned off the alarm siren in my head. I laughed. I say, what? Have you become an esoteric? And he's serious. Try it yourself, only not once, but at least a week. I tried it, and it turned out that the body in the morning, it's like a small child. It has just woken up, doesn't even know where it is yet, and here you are pouring into it, scorched acid under pressure. It, of course, wakes up, but not because it's ready, but because it's scared. Since then, I have rebuilt the morning. First, water. Warm, without haste. Then, light movement. Even just walk around the house, reach for the window. Make 2 or 3 circular movements with the shoulders. Not charging, just to remind the body that it's alive. And only then, when I feel that the blood has already flowed, the breathing is even. Then I take coffee. Already not the first. Already not a blow to the forehead. And, it's tastier. And instead of overload, clarity comes. Maybe you're listening now and thinking, yes, it's a trifle. And I will say, it is from trifles that very background level of fatigue is collected. It doesn't collapse immediately. It drips every day. And then you think that you just got older, and you're not older. You're just at war with the body instead of hearing it. Tell me, do you happen to have that after the first cup? There seems to be energy, and then a sharp decline? Does it happen that anxiety appears out of nowhere, although the day hasn't even begun? Perhaps the matter is not in the mood. Perhaps you just poured coffee before the body woke up at all. And here will be an interesting moment. Next, I will tell you about one morning habit that almost no one considers harmful. On the contrary, it's like healthy. But in my case, it was she who stole from me the feeling of inner peace. I know people for whom washing with ice water in the morning is almost heroism. Such a home sport. If you didn't burn your face with cold, you didn't wake up at all. And I used to be among them. It was considered that it invigorates, that this is a masculine approach, that this is how the body turns on. Well, the body turned on, in alarm mode. He thought something happened. I remember how it was. I go into the bathroom, my face is still crumpled, my eyes don't open, my body is still as if not here, and immediately ice water to my face, straight from the tap, splash, splash, then with a towel, as if slapping, and it seems like I woke up, but inside, as if someone turned on the alarm signal, not cheerfulness, but panic, only disguised as energy. I didn't realize this right away. Because we adults, we know how to ignore signals. We don't faint, don't scream, don't complain. We just live with this tension, considering it normal. But one day I was prompted not by a doctor and not by the internet. I was prompted by a dog. I have an old dog. His name is Cody. He likes warmth, an armchair by the window, the corner where the sun is. I once accidentally dropped cold water on him from a jug when I was washing the bowl. He twitched, got up, left. And for a long time, he looked at me with reproach. Like, what was that at all? If even my old dog chooses where it is warmer and quieter and avoids cold water, maybe it's time for me to be more attentive to myself. I began to change the rhythm, not dramatically, just instead of immediately turning on the cold water, I do this. First warm, just to wake up the face, not to hit it, then a little cooler, then, if I want to, cold. But not as a shock, but as a final, and not always. Sometimes it's enough just warm water and a couple of deep breaths at the mirror. And here's what changed. Instead of a surge of adrenaline, I began to feel a return. Not a sharp jerk, but as if you gently float out of sleep into yourself. As if the body tells you, thank you, I wasn't scared, I just woke up. You may say now, so what? I did the same in my youth, and nothing. And you will be right. In youth, much passes without account, but with age, the body begins to keep accounting, and every nothing records, smoothly but accurately. And one day, you wake up and don't understand why your face is all the time tense, as if someone started the day every day with, hey, get up, alarm! Or maybe it's all because you yourself arrange a stress for yourself every morning, from the tap, with a swing, and you call it cheerfulness. Ask yourself, how do you wake up? Are you helping yourself in this or hindering? I considered the next habit discipline, and it turned out to be a trap. If you are familiar with the feeling of heaviness immediately after eating, especially in the morning, listen, this may be about you. When I was younger, I had one idea in my head. You need to have breakfast, at least something, but eat, immediately. Because that's right. Because metabolism, energy for the day, and everything in this spirit. I ate even when I didn't want to, just because it was morning hour, and therefore, it's time. As if the body has a built-in alarm clock that turns on the appetite on schedule. Sometimes it was oatmeal, sometimes eggs. Sometimes just a toast with something. And almost always, half an hour after eating, I felt myself. As if I had been seated, not covered with energy, but seated, in the body, lethargy, in the head, as if slightly muffled sound. Not that it's bad, but somehow deaf. Not a start, but a freeze. I long thought that it was just age, or pressure, or something in the food. And then one person, a colleague at work, Susan, said a phrase to me that changed my attitude to the morning. She said, "Are you even hungry when you have breakfast?" And I suddenly realized, no, almost never. I ate just in case. I ate out of habit. I ate because I was afraid that if I didn't eat now, I wouldn't have time later. I ate because everyone around ate. After that, I began to notice that the body in the morning often wants not food but silence, water, calm awakening, and I, barely waking up, immediately gave him work, digest. And it tried, but instead of gratitude, it sent me a feeling of heaviness, because food is not a charge if it was imposed on you. I began to experiment, I began to listen to myself. Sometimes I drank water, made a couple of movements, went outside, and only then after 40 minutes I asked myself, do you want to eat? And surprisingly, I didn't always want to. And when I wanted to, the food was absorbed easier, without lethargy, without fog. This doesn't mean that I now skip breakfast. It means that I stopped putting food above my own feeling. We often think that discipline is doing as it should be. But I think that discipline is honestly listening to what you need now, not on schedule. But by condition. Ask yourself tomorrow, are you eating because you are hungry or because you have to? The body will tell you, the main thing is not to interrupt it with a spoonful of oatmeal. And next, I want to talk about another morning trap, about haste. And not external, but internal, about when, even if you are not in a hurry anywhere, inside there is still a signal. Faster, faster, you don't have time. I will tell you how I lived with this myself, and how once I stopped, I felt that in general, I had long managed everything. I just didn't notice. Shall we continue? I somehow noticed a strange thing. Even when I have no business, I'm still in a hurry. I got up in the morning, opened my eyes, and already a voice is heard inside. Come on, come on, come on, go. Wash, get dressed, put on the kettle, check the phone, don't forget to open the mail. No one is pushing. No one is standing with a stopwatch. And inside, as if I'm late for life. I began to look at this carefully. Where does this feeling begin? It doesn't come suddenly. It seeps. First, the thought that you are losing time. Then, irritation with yourself for delaying. Then, automatic movements, as if someone is pulling you by the strings. I understood. I don't just live in the hustle and bustle. I reproduce it myself, even where it isn't. I caught myself once on the following. I'm standing in the morning with a cup of tea at the window. It would seem a moment of peace. But no, I'm already mentally in the next step. I'm thinking about what to do after, how to use this time effectively. And so I seem to be drinking tea, but in fact I fall into a list of things to do. Moreover, which in fact don't exist. The morning is free, no one is waiting for anything, but the feeling, I'm lagging behind, is still here. My acquaintance Tom told me how in retirement he couldn't just sit and read the newspaper. He says, I felt that I should be useful. I have to do something. I have to move. Just sitting and being is like a crime. And then he ended up in the hospital for a week. And suddenly he realized that everything he was hurrying to, so much, everything waited, everything coped. And he didn't cope with his own race. I started doing a simple thing. In the morning, 10 minutes, without tasks. Just silence, not meditation, not technology, just time in which I don't have to do anything. I can look out the window, I can sit in an armchair and think about how the floor creaks. I can produce nothing. And you know what happened? Everything else began to be done easier, faster, but without rupture, as if the morning in which you didn't drive anyone returns you a whole day. If you have a feeling that you are in a hurry, but don't know where to, that's it. Internal anxiety disguised as organization, and the older we get, the more dangerous this feeling is. Because unlike youth, now it doesn't waste time. It wastes energy, real, vital. Ask yourself, who are you proving that you managed? And is it even necessary? Next, I want to tell you about one habit that I considered unnoticeable. I didn't even think it was something bad. But then I realized it was in it that I stopped feeling my body. One day, I realized that every morning I felt as if I was a stranger in my own body. Do you know this state? You get up, and as if you must first find where your back is, then where the legs are, then how do the arms bend at all? Not that it's pain, but just stiffness. As if at night you were carefully folded into a chest of drawers, and in the morning they pulled you back, but didn't smooth you out completely. I long thought, well, age. It should be so. This is normal, to wake up with the feeling that you slept not on a bed but in a suitcase stuffed with bricks. I waved my hand like it will stretch, it will disperse. But it didn't disperse, because I didn't listen. I just started the day as if I didn't have a body. I got up and went. Until one day I didn't go, because it pinched so much that I couldn't put on socks. My acquaintance Harold generally said that his morning is like the game Guess Where It Hurts Today. He wasn't kidding, just got used to it. And so, we both somehow sat down and began to compare. Do we generally give the body a chance to say what's wrong with it? Or do we just run ahead, as if it should always be ready? I started doing a simple thing, not charging, not stretching from YouTube, just got up and stretched, like an animal, slowly, without purpose, arms up, down, shoulders in a circle. Then I stood at the wall and tried to wake up in the body, to feel where the tension is now, not to fight it, just to notice it. At first it seemed stupid. Well, what will it give? And then I realized the morning in which you allowed yourself to feel the body is not the morning in which you drag yourself through the day, but the day in which you go at your own pace, as if you again became not a passenger in your car but a driver. Sometimes I make a couple of movements standing by the kitchen while the tea is heating up. Sometimes I sit on a chair and just rotate my feet, as if collecting myself in parts. Sometimes I put my hands on my chest and abdomen and just breathe. Yes, it sounds strange, but even stranger is to live in a body that you don't feel, and then be surprised why you get so tired so quickly. We ignored the signals for many years, and the body was silent, and then it began to speak, first in a whisper, then louder, and if you don't stop, it starts to scream, not with words, with pain, stiffness, irritation, but after all, it just needed attention. 5 minutes. Every day. Try it tomorrow in the morning, not by coercion, but as a check. Where am I now? What do the shoulders, back, face feel? No need to fix it, just be near. And next, I want to tell you about a habit that surprised me the most, because I always considered it not even a habit, but a norm. Silence. Sometimes, especially if you live alone, the morning passes, silently, without sounds, without words, just you in the house. The clock is ticking, tea is brewing, the floor creaks, everything seems to be as it should. And I used to think, in this is peace. Without fuss, without background noise. But one day I caught myself on a strange feeling. It seems like the morning has passed, and I still seem not to have woken up, not turned on. And I understood. I didn't say a word, at all. From the moment of awakening, not a single sound. Not because of a vow of silence, no. Just, there's no one to, and there's no need. And I noticed, the longer I am silent in the mornings, the harder the first conversation is later. The voice as if rusts, the face doesn't turn on. Everything in the body as if freezes, not because of the cold, but because there was no outlet of energy through the word. This is difficult to explain until you try it, but as soon as you say something aloud in the morning, even one or two phrases, there is a feeling. I am, not just breathing, but present. Now I do this almost every day. Sometimes I talk to myself aloud. Good morning, old man. Well, are you here? Or I just sing something while I'm cutting bread. Or I loudly say, thank you, morning. Sounds stupid? Maybe. But this returns me to the body, to the voice, to my living self. One friend told me how he began to whisper prayers in the mornings, although he had never been particularly religious. He says, I just wanted someone to say words of kindness to me, and then I realized I myself can be this person. And this is perhaps the quietest but most important thing. The voice is not just sound. It's a signal to myself that I'm alive. And it doesn't matter what you say. It matters that you are not silent, especially in the mornings, especially when everything is still shaky inside. That's how they work, these habits. Quietly, unnoticeably, like a shadow. First, just fatigue in the morning. Then, the hand reaches for the phone, a cup of coffee, food on schedule, internal haste. And so, the day is already gone, and it seems that there was no strength. But if you start looking, not to scold yourself, but just to listen, the morning becomes different, closer, livelier, yours. I myself now ask myself in the mornings, am I living now, or just repeating what has long been not suitable for me? And you? Is there a habit that you are tired of but didn't notice before? Or maybe you have a morning ritual without which the day is already not the same. Right, I'm really interested. And if this video touched something inside, leave a sign, like, comment, one word, not for numbers, for connection. Until the next morning, I'll be waiting.